If you've stopped wearing sleeveless dresses because you think your arms are too soft, too loose, or simply too old to show, you may be giving up some of the most elegant dresses in your wardrobe for the wrong reason. Because looking stunning in sleeveless clothing after 60 has far less to do with having perfectly toned arms and much more to do with how the dress frames your shoulders, where the neckline draws the eye, and how you balance the rest of the outfit. And once you understand these 5 tricks, you may discover that some sleeveless dresses actually make you look more polished, more graceful, and even more youthful than dresses with sleeves. Stay with me, especially for trick number 4, because it's perfect for those days when you love a sleeveless dress but still want just a little more coverage around your upper arms. Stay with me. Let's start with the detail most women overlook. Trick 1. Choose the right strap and shoulder cut. When most women look at a sleeveless dress, they immediately ask one question: do my arms look good in this? But there's a much better question to ask. Does the shoulder area of this dress flatter my proportions? Because 2 sleeveless dresses can expose almost the exact same amount of arm and still look completely different on your body. The first thing to look at is the width of the shoulder straps. Very thin spaghetti straps can be beautiful, but if you're already conscious of your upper arms, they can sometimes create too much visual contrast. You have a tiny little strap here, and then suddenly the eye sees the entire arm. That contrast can actually make the upper arm appear more prominent. Instead, try a sleeveless dress with a medium-width strap or a shoulder section that extends closer to the natural edge of your shoulder. That extra little bit of fabric creates balance. It doesn't hide your arms, it simply frames them better. And that distinction is important. You don't need to cover yourself from shoulder to wrist to look elegant. Sometimes an extra inch or 2 of fabric at the shoulder can completely change the proportion of the outfit. Now pay attention to the armhole as well. This is one of the biggest differences between a sleeveless dress that looks inexpensive and one that looks beautifully tailored. If the armhole is too tight, it may dig into the skin around the underarm or create little bulges that weren't even noticeable before. If it's too loose, you may see the side of your bra, extra skin, or too much of the side torso. Neither one is ideal. A flattering armhole should sit close to the body without squeezing. You should be able to move comfortably, but the fabric should still look clean and intentional. And here's another detail that's surprisingly important. Watch where the dress cuts inward around your shoulders. Some sleeveless dresses have very narrow shoulder panels that curve dramatically inward toward the neck. These can make the shoulders and upper arms appear wider because you're exposing more of the outer shoulder. A cut that sits slightly farther out toward the shoulder can create a more balanced line. Now what about halter necklines? They can be gorgeous, especially if you like showing your shoulders. But remember that a halter draws attention directly to the shoulder area. So if that's a part of your body you're already sensitive about, you may feel more comfortable in a classic sleeveless cut with wider straps. The same applies to racerback-inspired designs. They're sporty and modern, but because they expose more of the shoulder blade area, they naturally place more visual emphasis on your arms and shoulders. There is no rule saying you cannot wear them after 60. The question is simply whether they create the effect you want. For an elegant everyday look, one of the safest choices is often a sleeveless dress with a clean shoulder line, substantial straps, and an armhole that fits beautifully. And don't underestimate the power of a little structure. A slightly tailored shoulder instantly makes the outfit look more refined. It gives the eye a clear line to follow. Suddenly, instead of looking at your upper arms, people see the shape of the dress. That's exactly what good styling should do. You are not trying to make your arms disappear. You're creating a beautiful frame around them. Trick 2. Use your neckline to create length. The second trick is one of my favorites because you can see the difference almost immediately. Use your neckline to create a longer, more elegant upper body. When you wear a sleeveless dress, there's naturally more skin visible around the upper body. So the shape of the neckline becomes incredibly important. Let's start with the classic V-neck. A V-neck creates a vertical line through the center of your body, and vertical lines are your friend when you want a look that feels long, balanced, and elegant. Instead of the eye moving horizontally from shoulder to shoulder, it moves downward through the center of the outfit. That can make your neck appear longer and shift attention away from the widest part of your upper arms. And the V doesn't have to be deep. A soft, moderate V-neck can be incredibly flattering. Next is the scoop neck. A scoop neckline is softer and rounder than a V-neck, but it still creates openness around the collarbone. This can be especially beautiful if you like feminine, relaxed styles. The key is making sure it's not so high that the entire upper chest becomes one solid block of fabric. Showing just a little collarbone gives the outfit breathing room. Then we have the square neckline. A square neckline is wonderful if you want a sleeveless dress to feel a little more polished or architectural. It creates clean lines, highlights the collarbone beautifully, and can make even a simple cotton or linen dress feel more sophisticated. A square neckline also works beautifully with a delicate necklace or small pendant. Now let's talk about boat necks. Boat necklines can look incredibly graceful, especially if you like that classic Audrey Hepburn type of elegance. But they do create more horizontal width across the shoulders. So if you already have broad shoulders and you want to visually narrow that area, you may prefer a V-neck or scoop neck instead. On the other hand, if your hips are wider and you'd like to create more balance between your upper and lower body, a boat neckline can actually be very useful. That's why it's so important to stop thinking in terms of universal fashion rules. The question isn't, what's the best neckline for women over 60? The question is, what neckline creates the best proportion on me? Now here's one neckline combination I would be careful with if you're already self-conscious about your upper arms. A very high, tight crew neck combined with a completely bare shoulder can sometimes make the upper body look more solid. There isn't much open space around the neckline, so your eye tends to move outward toward the arms. Again, that doesn't mean you can never wear one, but if you put on a sleeveless dress and something feels slightly off, the neckline may be the real problem, not your arms. You can also use jewelry to enhance this effect. For example, a longer pendant necklace over a simple sleeveless dress creates another vertical line. Now you've got the neckline pulling the eye inward and the necklace reinforcing that direction. That's a very simple styling trick, but it can make a big visual difference. And while we're talking about necklines, don't forget your face. The color closest to your face matters. Sometimes women think a sleeveless dress doesn't flatter them when the actual problem is simply that the color washes them out. Try the same silhouette in a rich navy, warm coral, emerald green, burgundy, soft cream, or whatever shades naturally brighten your complexion. When the color makes your face look alive, people notice your face first. And that is exactly where we want the attention. Trick 3. Let the fabric and silhouette do the work. Here's something I wish more women understood. When a sleeveless dress doesn't look flattering, the problem is very often not your arms. It's the fabric, or the silhouette, or both. A beautiful sleeveless dress should skim the body. It should move with you. It shouldn't feel like it's fighting against you every time you sit, stand, or walk. One of the easiest fabrics to wear is a medium-weight jersey. Notice I said medium weight. Very thin jersey can cling to every little curve and line. But a slightly heavier jersey has enough substance to drape smoothly over the body. Crepe is another wonderful option. It tends to hang beautifully, resists looking overly clingy, and immediately gives a dress a more sophisticated finish. Linen blends are lovely too, especially for warm weather. Pure linen is beautiful, but if you dislike excessive wrinkling, look for linen blended with viscose, cotton, or another fiber that gives it a little more softness and movement. Structured cotton can also work extremely well. What you're looking for is a fabric that has enough weight to create its own shape. Because when the fabric holds its shape, your body doesn't have to. That's such an important idea. Your clothes should work for you. Now let's look at silhouettes. The first is the classic A-line dress. This shape is narrow around the upper body and gently widens toward the hem. It's easy, elegant, and very forgiving. It works beautifully if you like some definition through the torso, without anything clinging around the hips or stomach. Then there's the fit and flare dress. This gives you a little more waist definition before flowing outward. It can create a beautiful feminine shape without being tight. If you prefer something more modern, try a straight or column dress. This can look incredibly chic, particularly in a structured fabric. The vertical silhouette naturally elongates the body. Just make sure it isn't so oversized that you completely lose your shape. There is a difference between relaxed and shapeless. A relaxed dress still has intention. And then we have the wrap-style dress. This is such a useful design because it creates diagonal lines across the torso. Those diagonal lines naturally pull the eye inward, and the tie at the waist can create definition without making the dress feel restrictive. So when you look in the mirror, try not to zoom in mentally on one part of your body. Look at your complete silhouette. Ask, Does this dress create a beautiful shape? Because when the answer is yes, your arms simply become part of that beautiful overall picture. Trick 4. Master the third piece layering trick. This is probably the most useful trick in the entire video if you love sleeveless dresses but sometimes feel uncomfortable showing your upper arms. Add what stylists often call a third piece. Your dress is the first piece. Your shoes might complete the basic outfit. And then you add one lightweight layer that makes the entire look feel intentional. The important word here is lightweight, because the goal isn't to bury a beautiful sleeveless dress underneath a heavy jacket. You still want the dress to be visible. One of the easiest options is a lightweight cardigan. Look for something soft and fine knit rather than bulky. A cardigan that falls somewhere around the waist or upper hip can add coverage without swallowing the entire outfit. And if the cardigan is too long and loose, pay attention to your proportions. A petite woman can sometimes disappear underneath an oversized layer. You want movement, not volume for the sake of volume. Another beautiful option is a cropped linen jacket. This is fantastic with summer dresses. It gives the shoulders structure, covers the upper arm, and because it's cropped, your waistline remains visible. You could take the exact same sleeveless dress you wore on vacation and add a linen jacket to make it appropriate for lunch, a church event, or a smart casual gathering. Then there's the wrap, or pashmina. This is such an elegant solution for weddings, dinners, cruises, or evening events. And don't wrap it tightly around yourself. Let it rest softly around your shoulders. That relaxed drape looks far more elegant than constantly clutching it closed because you're worried about your arms. Remember, the goal is not to look like you're hiding. It's to look like you intentionally completed the outfit. A kimono-style layer is another wonderful option. This can look especially beautiful over a simple column dress. If your dress is plain, the kimono can introduce color, print, or texture. But again, watch the scale. If you're petite, look for a slightly shorter or less voluminous version. If you're taller, you can often handle a little more length and movement. And then we have the classic blazer. A lightweight blazer over a sleeveless dress is one of the easiest ways to instantly elevate an outfit. Suddenly, that simple dress looks polished enough for lunch, a meeting, a gallery visit, or dinner. And here's the key styling trick with all of these layers. You usually don't need to close them. Leaving your cardigan, jacket, or blazer open creates two vertical lines down the front of your body. Those lines naturally draw the eye downward. That can make the entire silhouette look longer and more streamlined. So rather than buttoning the cardigan and creating one large block of fabric across your torso, try leaving it open. You still get coverage around your upper arms, but you preserve the shape and color of the dress underneath. Now think about sleeve length. You don't necessarily need a full-length sleeve. A 3/4 sleeve is elegant and practical. An elbow-length sleeve gives coverage without feeling heavy. A bracelet-length sleeve draws attention toward the wrist, which is often one of the narrowest points of the arm. That creates a beautiful, graceful proportion. And this is where the versatility of sleeveless dresses becomes so useful. Imagine one simple navy sleeveless dress. For lunch, you add a cropped linen jacket. For a wedding, you add a soft sheer wrap. For dinner, you wear it alone with beautiful earrings. For travel, you add a lightweight cardigan. For a more formal daytime look, you add a blazer. One dress, 5 completely different outfits. That's why I don't want you to automatically dismiss sleeveless dresses simply because you don't always want your arms exposed. They're actually some of the most versatile pieces you can own. Trick 5. Direct the eye with accessories, shoes, and confidence. Accessories are not just decoration. They're visual direction. They tell the eye where to go. And when you're wearing a sleeveless dress, that can be incredibly useful. Let's begin with earrings. A beautiful pair of statement earrings naturally brings attention upward toward your face. They don't have to be enormous. Even a polished gold hoop, pearl drop, or interesting sculptural earring can create a focal point. Suddenly, when someone looks at you, their attention is drawn toward your eyes and your smile. That's powerful. A pendant necklace can do something similar. A necklace that falls vertically through the center of your torso creates a long line. Again, the eye moves inward and downward instead of horizontally across the arms. You can also use a beautiful brooch, scarf, or bracelet to create intentional focal points. Now let's talk about shoes. Shoes affect the entire proportion of a dress more than most people realize. If you want the legs to appear longer, a nude or skin-toned shoe can create a very smooth visual transition. Pointed toe flats can give you length without requiring heels. A low-block heel adds polish and often feels far more stable than a narrow heel. And for summer, a sleek sandal can keep a sleeveless dress looking light and modern. The important thing is that the shoe should feel connected to the mood of the dress. And then think about your handbag. You don't necessarily want an enormous bag hanging next to a delicate summer dress. A medium or small structured bag often looks more intentional. For evening, a clutch or compact shoulder bag can keep the silhouette clean. Now here's something that's rarely discussed in fashion videos, but it's one of the biggest factors in how an outfit looks: posture. When women feel self-conscious about their arms, they sometimes unconsciously pull their shoulders inward. They bring their arms tightly against their sides. They almost shrink themselves. And ironically, that often makes the arms look more noticeable because you're pressing them against the torso. Instead, relax your shoulders. Let your arms fall naturally. Stand tall. Give yourself space. A sleeveless dress looks completely different on a woman who is comfortable occupying her space. And that brings us to the most important point in this entire video. You don't have to earn the right to wear sleeveless clothing by having perfectly toned arms. Your arms have lived. They've carried groceries. They've held children. They've worked. They've hugged people. They've helped you through decades of life. They do not need to look 25 years old for you to wear a beautiful summer dress at 60, 70, or beyond. So moisturize your skin if that makes you feel good. Wear your favorite lipstick. Style your hair. Put on the earrings that make you smile. And then wear the dress. Instead of asking, "Am I too old to wear this?" ask, "Does this make me feel elegant, comfortable, and like myself?" If the answer is yes, that's the dress. So the next time you try on a sleeveless dress, remember these 5 simple tricks. First, choose shoulder straps and armholes that create balance. Second, use your neckline to draw attention inward and upward. Third, choose fabrics and silhouettes that skim rather than cling. Fourth, add a beautiful lightweight third piece whenever you want extra coverage. And fifth, use your accessories, shoes, and posture to create intentional focal points. Because the goal is never to hide your age. It's to dress yourself in a way